Bienvenidos. Soy la Bruja Espinada, and I am back after a small hiatus. And I'm here with a very, very special new moon in Virgo solar eclipse message. So let's get started. There's a lot going on right now. This time of year is considered to be eclipse season. There's a lot going on with the eclipses, both solar and lunar eclipses. And why is this important? Because there's a lot of energies that are occurring, especially now that it's a new moon. And as of today, which is Sunday the 21st, Monday the 22nd, if you are Pacific Standard Time, is the first day of the autumnal equinox. So we're entering not just a new month, not just a new season, but we're also entering the solar eclipse season. So many transitions astrologically, and I am not an astrologist, but I do follow along just to give you an idea of what energies are occurring. Now, because it is an eclipse and the equinox, as you're entering this new transition of a new month, a new season, one of the things to take into consideration is wearing red, wearing black during the eclipses. And this is just for your own protection, protecting your energy, ensuring that not just you're protected from the energies from others, but that you are protecting your energy to others. Because a lot of the times, depending on where you're at in life, you may, and especially right now that you're going to be dealing with a lot of feelings, you want to be sure that any negativity, toxicity that you have does not get stuck to anyone else. You want to look at how you filter your own energies, because do unto others as you would have done unto yourself. If you don't want anyone else's bad energy, you need to keep your bad energy away from others. So let's get into this. I am going to still do a equinox reading, so that'll be following this one, and I'll have it posted and pinned. But let's focus on this new moon message. We are starting with our key card being the Eight of Cups. At the bottom of the deck, we have the Fool. We have the Ten of Swords. We have the Queen of Swords. We have the Ace of Wands, the King of Pentacles, the Three of Cups. Actually, let me correct some of these. The Knight of Swords, the Knight of Pentacles, the Ten of Cups, the Five of Pentacles, the Ace of Cups, the Six of Pentacles, the Emperor, and Death. We're going to stop here. Now, starting with the Eight of Cups. The Eight of Cups came out right facing up, and as I've explained before, I don't typically read cards in reversals because reading through, everything winds up coming out at the end. So, the Eight of Cups. As you can see here, these are all stacked up, and this individual is looking out into the distance. The moon is in a crescent phase, so there is a lot to do with transition, a lot to process at this time, which is the perfect primary message of this reading, considering where we're at, where we are at in all these transitions. So, the Eight of Cups, they're all stacked neatly. The Eight of Cups is an indicator of processing everything that you have learned, all that you've experienced, all the lessons, all the messages, all the help through your entire life. You may have heard of the term jack of all trades but master of none. This is why this is coming out. there has been a lot of experience with not finding something that wholly fits within your life. Whether it's, you know what, I started with this area, I've studied, and I've transitioned into other similar areas, or I feel like it doesn't quite fit, and yet I'm being pulled somewhere else every single time. It's like you're being pebbled. So there's nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong with that. It is a westernized mindset that you have to be the best at just one thing. But realistically, in life, you have to be able to have some sort of knowledge in regards to every little thing. It takes some type of knowledge how to clean up your home, your living space. It takes a little bit of knowledge if you're going to tend to a garden. It takes a little bit of knowledge to know how to maintain your vehicle or your mode of transportation. It takes some knowledge to be able to cook and sustain yourself. It takes some type of knowledge to financially take care of your everyday needs. It takes some type of knowledge to have good personal hygiene. It takes some type of knowledge, and we don't have all that knowledge. We have to continue learning. So this is not just to one thing in regards to career, education, but this is in regards to everything. If it is in regards to a career, sometimes you start off, once you go, for example, there are some people who know what they want to do with their entire life, and they study and they study and they study, they go off to college, they dedicate their whole life to that, and it works out for them. But I can tell you that the percentage of these people is way less than the percentage of people that wind up changing their minds. Because changing your mind is the most human thing you can do. Because once you experience it, you can then process whether that feels good to you in your heart and whether or not that works well for you in your mind. Because some things make more sense as you experience them. Now, I mean, this was my personal case where I studied one thing. I wound up changing my major a few times before I finally decided on one thing. I went to earn my bachelor's in one specific field, and as I was learning my bachelor's, or earning it, I was then introduced to other similar areas where it would take me towards a completely different institution. And I liked it. It didn't take me away from what I initially went to school for. And wound up working towards my master's, got my master's in the field that, in a very specialized degree, and worked my way to the career that I currently have. And I achieved my goal. Having achieved my goal, now that I've worked in many different fields, having worked in what I initially wanted to study, having worked in different branches of what my area of study was, I finally achieved the dream that I always wanted, to be in charge, to be a manager, director of what it was that I studied. Now that I've sampled and I've earned it, do I still like it? That question does come into mind. And I know I'm not the only one. I came into an existential crisis, which I know everyone else happens to come across. And it may be in a different area, right? But the processes of what I'm trying to get to in sharing this is that it's perfectly normal, but it is a westernized idea that you have to do it like this: A, B, C, D, and follow that process. But this type of living isn't linear. Experience isn't linear. It is curvy, it is wavy, it is crashing, it is a major roller coaster. And that is perfectly normal, which is why this is here. This has brought you to a place of contemplation. The new moon is a time of contemplation where you start to set the intentions as you move forward. But it's a good thing to take that time before fully setting your intentions today. You can write down all the intentions you want to manifest by the full moon. But take time to really think about these things. Will they really serve you? And it's good to compare them. And if I truly want this, will I still want this in 5 years? And one of the things to take into consideration is if something comes up with that time within that time frame, am I going to be okay with the transition? And I say the transition as in, if something else were to pop up, would you be okay with being diverted? Or are you open to be like, you know what, this may take me towards a different and maybe better path? Will I deviate in a good way, or will it deviate me in a bad way? That's where the 5-year plan is. That's where the whole going with the flow and then like sticking to a plan causes a lot of anxiety in people. But that's why contemplation is so important, and not to let anyone influence that. Now, this is followed by the Fool card. Now, the Fool card was in reverse. So when the Fool card is shown here, it is usually an indicator of caution. Caution to not just proceed aimlessly. This is where I bring up the whole going with the flow. There's nothing wrong with going with the flow, because every moment is going with the flow, and understanding how to process that as you're going with it, not just aimlessly. But because the Fool was in reverse, there is an indicator of take into consideration the idea of not having to be open with going with the flow, and not taking it so hard that things aren't going to plan. Many times, because, and I share this because I've been through this too, and I know I'm not the only one. And what helped me at the end was someone once shared with me that no matter what, even if things are not going to plan, you have to remember that everything's going to be all right. It doesn't feel like it in the moment, but things are going to be all right, because one way or another, all that you've learned in your lifetime, all these skills that you may not be a master of, but you may be a jack of all trades in, is going to help you survive. It's going to help you get back on your feet. Many readings that I've done leading up to this, I let them fall out for a reason. I don't select them because I don't want my personal biases to pop out in these. So when this card fell out, it is intended for those that are looking for this message. And as I set my intentions, that's what I do. I ask that the messages that come from the higher power, from the mighty divine, are messages for those that are seeking words of wisdom, for seeking guidance, for seeking protection, for seeking healing. And this, because I know a good amount of you that watch these, there's something that you all have in common despite how different all of you are, is that there you have so much knowledge in many different areas, and you've survived so much. You have survived so much, and you've acquired so many different skills, not that just serve you, but that you are able to share with others because of what you've experienced. There is, in many different cultures, there are different types of birth charts that people utilize. And so in these birth charts, there's one of them that I found very interesting, and it is the Mayan birth chart. And when they do your birth chart reading, they take the day that you're born, and that's something specific. But it's also aligned with where, depending on the placements and everything. It's not just what your sign is that you're born into, but it's what you are meant to achieve. And sometimes there's a specific sign that comes out that tells you the struggles that you're going to face are because of what you are meant to become in the future. And I know that other astrological signs also state this, but I'm just referring to the Mayan one. There is one that winds up explaining that there's a reason why you go through all. If you've experienced a lot of suffering, there's a reason why. And people that wind up going through a lot of that suffering is because there is something in your chart that states that you're meant to have those experiences, because you're also going to be helping others, whether that's not in your line of work or what you've aspired to be or what you dream to be. It is something that you will be doing whether you know it or not. You have a lot of experiences, and while it may not coincide with what you wanted, you have to learn to go with that flow. And I think you've kind of already learned that. If you've not embraced it, it's time to embrace it. That, sure, but that's the thing, right? Have you ever been on a road trip where you're meant to go from point A to point B, and then there's detours, and then there's weather conditions that hinder you from getting there the route you were initially dead set on taking? But then you experience something different. What better explanation than how life typically is? And the reason why I say this is because the Ten of Swords came out in reverse. The Ten of Swords is not a stranger to some of the most recent readings that I had, but it came out in reverse. Now, when the Ten of Swords is upright, it typically indicates that there's been a lot of suffering, there's been a lot of backstabbing, there's been a lot of difficulties, a lot of pain, a lot of suffering, a lot of hurt. And when it's in reverse, at least in this interpretation that I have right now, some of that is because you let it. This isn't to say like, oh, victim shaming, victim blaming in any way, shape, or form, but there is a anecdotal story of someone who goes to the doctor, and they tell the doctor, "Doctor, when I poke here, it hurts. And no matter how many times I poke it, it keeps hurting." And the doctor then says, "Well, stop poking it." This person is on their belly. Their back is full of swords. Okay. Roll into your side. When you're on your belly, you cannot see what's coming. You're not looking at the direction. You're not making the effort to get out of the way of the sword, of the next sword, the sword after that. You can't see when it's coming. But what can you do to stop the influx of swords from coming in? Can you roll onto your side so you can get a better view? To swat away the sword? To see who is putting those swords into your back? That's why the Fool's also in reverse. Because sometimes we're not aware, we're so focused that sometimes we wind up finding ourselves in environments that are very toxic, and only because we've considered or we've accepted the narrative that this is the way that the industry is and I have to deal with it. Do you though? Some food for thought. But we're also followed by the Queen of Swords. She's my favorite card. She's my personal card. The Queen of Swords is the no bullshit card. Someone who is versed in no longer hearing the bullshit and not speaking on bullshit. They are concise. They are articulate. They are mindful in the way that they use their words. Now, these three cards was a lot of food for thought. So, as you move forward and begin to embrace going with the flow and accepting that detours happen and you can still get to point C between A and C, but maybe you need to stop at point B for a reason. But as you manifest, as you set your intentions and you've taken the time to really think and contemplate on these things, practice on what it is that you're really, really going to say that you want. There's that very familiar saying of, be careful what you wish for. When you say what you mean, you gotta mean what you say. So take that into consideration as you set your intentions for the full moon. Now we have the Ace of Wands. The Ace of Wands is going to be tied really closely with the King of Pentacles here. There's a lot of abundance that you want. There's a lot of things that you want to accomplish still. And it is very possible for you to have the best of these both worlds. It's not that just work hard to play hard, but start thinking about how you can manifest and putting these two together so you can love what it is that you do. It is possible. So, as I was saying, in regards, so just keep that in mind, right? These three cards. We're followed by the Three of Cups, and the Three of Cups is in reverse. The Three of Cups is usually an indicator of celebration, of community, but this is in reverse. So one of the messages, and especially since we have the Fool, the Ten of Swords, be mindful of the company that you keep, especially because of what it is that you want to achieve and accomplish, right? You are going to be contemplating a lot of things. Take into consideration also what it is that you truly deeply want and what the environment around you, what do you want that to be like? Who do you want to be surrounded with? Who is going to help you in the environment that you want to be in? Very important to take that into consideration as you move forward. And the reason why you have the Knight of Swords here and you also have the Queen of Swords is because you're also going to be learning how to communicate in this new environment. Being cautious not to share everything so that it may or may not be used against you. And I don't think you're a stranger to this. Just remember that not everyone you work with is your friend. Feel it out first. But you're also followed by the Knight of Pentacles. The Knight of Pentacles is someone who is learning how to better manage their resources, how to understand where the resources come from and if that aligns with you. So again, that idea of not all work environments are healthy work environments. And if you're going to be manifesting this, you need to learn what it is that's going to keep you and your energy safe. So with the Knight of Pentacles, your resources, meaning your who you collaborate with, who you what circles you're going to be around. That's also resources, whether it's because of networking, whether it's who you do business with. Is that going to serve you? Are these the people you want to work with? Do you don't It's like understanding who you want your circle to be with, because that energy, you're going to be breathing that in. It's going to, whether or not you share the same values, morals, views or not, you're going to be feeding off that energy. And you, like they say, you are the company you keep. And if it's not the company of people that want what's best for you, just like you would want what's best for them, take into consideration, contemplate on that. We also have the 10 of Cups and the 5 of Pentacles. They also had come out in reverse. Now, even if they had come out upright, message is still the same. Remember, they're all revolving around contemplation. Now, the 10 of Cups is usually like everything that you've dreamed of, everything that your heart desires, everything that you've been planning between A to C. Not taking into consideration that if you don't go with the flow, it makes it more daunting that you have these dreams that you've been aspiring to. And the reason why it's in reverse is because take into consideration if the dreams that you wanted or the dreams that you still want are the same. Now, you may have, as a child, dreamed of a white picket fence, family, 2.5 kids, amazing career, a marriage partner, things like that. And as you've grown, that may not be the same view. Maybe the views change. You're like, you know what? I want something happening, a fast life in a big city, partying, fun, and everything. And then once you start college, once you start a trade, once you actually start working, you think, man, I just really, really want some peace of mind. I really want quiet. I want fun. I want beach life. I want no responsibilities. The point of the reason why this comes out upside down is with contemplation of like, reflect. Take this time to reflect on how many times your dreams have changed. Do you still want a Ferrari? Do you still want to live in a huge city? Do you still want, because you have to take into consideration what all that comes with. You can have those dreams and aspirations, but the reality is you have to take into consideration how much that costs. Many people want to live in a bigger city. Where I'm from, a big city to live in is San Diego. And once people actually go live out there, they realize how much it costs to live out there. Or someone wants to go live in New York City. How much does that cost? And that's expensive. And even if you make a good amount of money, it's still very expensive. So then you call into question like, hey, you know, I did want kids at some point in time. But that's really expensive because now childcare is so much. It's the reality that not everything that we dream is picture perfect, and it comes with a lot of other strings. So the contemplation is, do you still want this in 5 years? Did you still want this 5 years ago? Do you still want that now? Or is it just because that was a dream once upon a time and now your experience have changed you? This is just a contemplation period, right? Think about as you are going to be manifesting, because now the energies that are occurring are much more potent. And so that's why you must be very, very mindful of what it is that you're asking for in regards to what your passions are, what you want in abundance, and if that is still truly what you want. Just take it into consideration in comparison to all the experiences and growth you've had over these years. And we have the Five of Pentacles in reverse. Now, the Five of Pentacles upright is usually struggle, financial struggle, struggle with resources, struggling to find the right networks, the right business partners, struggling to find the right investments, connections. But it's in reverse, meaning it's still tied into this Three of Cups in reverse. Not all money is good money. I'm going to let that sink in for a moment. Not all money is good money. We have the Knight of Pentacles. Understanding your resources, learning, contemplating. Am I willing to do something funny for some money? Meaning, am I willing to do things that put my moral compass into question? Would it put my character into question? Would it put how I'm perceived into question? Will I abandon who I am, what I believe in, for some money? This is a very contemplative reading. Now, this reading is like a roller coaster. I just go with the flow. We have the Ace of Cups. This reading in and of itself may make you feel stressed, and for that, I do apologize. But these are words of wisdom. I read them as they come. We have the Ace of Cups. A lot of different feelings coming out. A lot of things to contemplate. But what I do love about this card is you will see here that while this cup of what looks to be wine is splashing around, because there's a lot of feelings, a lot of new feelings to take into consideration. So as you learn to steady that cup so that there's no spillage, we have peace. A sign of peace is the dove. The dove is trying to land on this. There is some spillage, but when you're trying to work towards peace, there is a little bit of turbulence. What I do love is here also you will see that there are lotus. There are lotus growing. Lotus grow in muddy, murky water, where you would think, oh, I picture lotuses being in crystal clear water. No, they are in the muddiest water. And the most beautiful blooms that grow from this come from muddy waters. And then when they grow, they begin to clean the environment that they are in. They thrive in the muddy water because as they grow, they begin to protect, to purify, to cleanse that space with their growth. And then we have the Six of Pentacles. Came out upright. When we have the Six of Pentacles, especially after the Five of Pentacles, especially when it's in reverse, is that when we have the Six of Pentacles is when you invest, you will get back. That's why this is depicted this way. This coin is being given just as someone invests in you, and there is a return. When you invest in others, there is a return. Money only works when it's in cycles. It's cycling around. It doesn't just stay stagnant. Invest so that you are invested in. That's why you have the two different crescents in two different phases, because it's all about cycling. Invest so that those will invest in you, and you can continue that investment, and that investment grows. That's part of the Knight of Pentacles message. We are ending this out on two reversals. We have the Emperor and Death. Now, Death, it's very interesting when it comes out, or both the Emperor and the Death are coming out in reverse. And again, even if they were to come out upright, they're basically saying the same thing. There is someone that you've been wanting to be, but again, just like the 10 of Cups that are in reverse, just like the 3 of Cups are in reverse. The Emperor's in reverse because who you wanted to be is being called into question for contemplation. Is that still who you are? Is that still who you want to be seen as? Is this still who you want to be? Think about it. And this is a bit of an ego death. Death, even if it's upright, is the end of a cycle. We are ending summer. We're entering fall. We are ending the lunar cycle. We're entering a brand new lunar cycle, brand new month. We're ending a season. We're coming into a completely different season. There's a lot of change and transition. This is an ego death. This is, okay, maybe who I wanted to be isn't who I still want to be. And there's nothing wrong with that. This is all about contemplation. This is a huge time to really take into question what you truly want for yourself to be happy. A lot of the times people are like, well, I wanted to be this person because of who I wanted my children to think who I was, or who my parents wanted me to be, or I always thought I wanted this, and now that's just being called into question, and there's nothing wrong with that. The death that you're going to be experiencing is who you once were. Give thanks to who you were, because you wouldn't have survived all that you did if it didn't happen. But it's perfectly normal to change. We shed skin every day. We shed water through our sweat. Our hair falls out. This is all actually pretty normal. We shed these things. We can shed our personality. We can shed who we used to be, what we used to want. When you consume something that does not sit right with you anymore, your body purges it. This is what this is. You are meant to contemplate and consider your old ideas. And if they no longer serve you, it's time to purge. Whew. I always try to keep these short, and I mean, here we go. Mighty Fates, what lesson do we have to add to this reading? So, I genuinely hope this doesn't give you any anxiety, but this is a message for someone. Take it or leave it. It is only here. These are words of wisdom that were invoked by somebody. We have okay, we have the underworld. We have higher perspective. And we have the explorer. Let's see. Here. Try not to make these super long, but sometimes, you know, what comes out needs to come out. 14. looking up the wrong one because I had seen it earlier, but I think that's just a personal message for me. We have, oh, it's 113. One page ago. Underworld. If the Underworld card comes to you, this is either an invitation to go within yourself, or it serves as an acknowledgement of where you currently are. If you do not sense you are in the underworld, then this card is asking you to take a pause and allow the things that need to fall away to do so. I don't make this shit up. If you are in the underworld at the moment, it can often feel like it is a trial after trial, loss after loss. It may also feel empty and uncomfortable. The underworld is where we die and where we are reborn. It holds the fire of transformation, like a phoenix. So many people resist being in the underworld or try to rush the journey. But this card is asking you to settle into it and surrender. Give yourself permission to be in this in-between space and welcome the changes to the best of your ability. While we are in the underworld, we need to allow ourselves to be there without anticipating the rebirth. We must simply be there. I don't make this shit up, guys. You guys see as the cards fall. Higher perspective. Actually, I don't think I've ever gotten higher perspective in a reading. So this would be interesting to see. Here we go. Higher perspective. As people who do their internal and spiritual work, we are less likely to be bogged down by drama or reactiveness that we know truly doesn't matter. But being human means that there are times where we can't help it. Sometimes it is easy to stay in the higher perspective and see all the moving pieces as they truly are. But sometimes life and the people around us are very good at sucking us into a space of limited vision. This card is asking you to see whatever situation you're experiencing resistance with from a higher perspective. Last but not least, we have the Explorer. The Explorer calls you out of your routine and into a rhythm with your deepest self and all that is around you. When people think explore, sometimes they conjure up images of grand traveling expeditions, and while travel can be illuminating and profound, do not fool yourself into thinking that the experiences you need are out of your reach. Explore from exactly where you are. Explore on your own by doing new things and projects. Explore your current environment, even if it's just taking a different route on your way to work. The Explorer calls for a shakeup of the typical and the ordinary. I don't make this shit up. So, let's finish out with the Animal Spirit Guide. I'm trying not to keep this as long as it got. Animal Spirit Guides, what last message do you have for our watchers today? This wasn't a lesson. This was simply a message, guys. Okay. Who came out? Let's see. Ooh. Sandpiper Spirit. I don't think I've ever gotten this one either that I recall. But hopefully, there we go. Short and sweet. Be playful. Sandpipers are like cute little clowns, poking their beaks into the sand before darting off to chase the waves. The appearance of Sandpiper Spirit is a sign that now is the time to engage your playfulness. Whatever tasks you have before you, perform them with the lightness of being. Explore the familiar, discovering the new in the old. Who knows what treasures await you when you let yourself laugh and have fun? Sandpiper's spirit's happy and curious nature can help you feel rejuvenated as you remember your ability to run and fly and dance playfully. When your heart is heavy and life seems to weigh you down, Sandpiper's spirit's message is to listen, is to listen. Listen to this message. Is to lighten your burden by finding joy and humor in the everyday. Become like a playful child, filled with curiosity and wonder, and soon you will find you feel your own spirit lift. A few minutes or hours of fun-filled delight is exactly what you need now. Enjoy the ridiculousness of life and be willing to jump in. Let your inner goof out to express itself with abandon. I know this seems very contrary to what we just experienced in this reading, but there's a lot of reverse cards, and again, I don't typically read them this way, but because they seem to teeter-totter, reverse, right side up, reverse, right side up. It's how are you going to flip it on its head? This, while contemplation seems like the heaviest thing, look at it from a different perspective. Try to laugh about it. Try to make this new contemplation, or this contemplation to who you no longer are and who you want to be. Think of it as a good thing. There's nothing wrong with change. And if it makes you happier about it, what's the harm in that? So, overall, and like always, I sincerely hope this message helped, and I'll see you guys next time.